we've had some recent developments in the Black community, and I know how much you care about Black men, as I do. You spent your life really advocating for Black people, but particularly the Black man. And this, just a few days ago, we saw a video, a horrendous video, a heinous video of a terrible act of violence against one of our brothers, by our brothers. And we've seen how the media has tried to portray it. Just before I even add any commentary and questions, what were your thoughts on seeing that, and what is that? What if anything do you think that reflects about where we are?
It was sad. It was unfortunate, but I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because I know how loyal Black people can be to the white power structure whenever they give us the dishonor of wearing one of their uniforms. Psychologically, there's been research done on the power of identity and how it shapes behavior. The Stanford Prison Experiment by Philip Zimbardo, when he assigned random people to two different groups inside of a prison experiment. Some were the inmates and others were the guards. And he had to stop the experiment within a few days because the guards identified so strongly with being police that their behavior became reckless and dangerous. The inmates identified so strongly with being inmates in the prison that their behavior became reckless and dangerous. And the conclusion, one of the conclusions of this study was that context and identity and role, the role you are given, the research shows that when somebody gives you a role, a title, a responsibility, people often almost live up to the expectation of that role. So when you give a Black man a white police officer's uniform, we will take on the attitude, the persona, the energy, and the agenda of the white racist police force. Although these were Black men who have to be accountable for their behavior as Black men, this was still a crime of white supremacy because they were working for and subservient to the Memphis Police Department. So even though they were Black, this was a crime of white supremacy. It just so happens that the Black slaves of the police department carried this out. So the police want to distance themselves as if these were Black people who did this, yes, but they still work for you. They would have never done this if there wasn't already a precedent of white police getting off for killing Black folks. And I think the irony of this, and I'm happy they were held accountable, but I think the irony of this, Pastor, is the fact that the protections that are normally afforded to white police when they kill Blacks, none of those protections were afforded to these Negroes. I'm glad they weren't, because as Black men, you should have been more honorable. But it shows you the double standard, even amongst police. If they were white, they would be home, paid leave, pending an investigation. But because they were Black, they got lynched. And I'm glad they got lynched. But every Black cop needs to wake up and smell the coffee and understand that although you wear their uniform, you are not white. And you will not be given the complexion for protection.
Absolutely, absolutely. That what you said was 100% in agreement to what I mentioned on this past Sunday on how I was holding my microphone preaching, and how I said the microphone has a mission to increase volume of voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the parts in the microphone, batteries, whether you use Duracell, whether you use Energizer, whether you use Everready, they are parts that go inside the machine.
Yes, sir.
We have one purpose, which is in expanding my voice.
Yep.
I said, so sometimes we get so caught up in the parts of the microphone. We get so caught up in the parts of a machine, a system of white supremacy. Duracell, Energizer, Everready. We get so caught up in the part, having a Black face, but you're still just a part in a system or a machine of white supremacy. And if you really want to change the system, you got to change the machine. And the purpose for the machine, or eradicate it altogether.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I want to get your feedback on that. You're going to be here tomorrow. Can you give us just, and I know, I mean, I've been following you for a while. You've been like, to me, one of the realest brothers, coldest, but honest, brothers who in my lifetime, in our generation, you know, you've spoken out on several issues that a lot of folks shy away from. And the fact that you're going to be here tomorrow at Empowerment, is this your first time here at Empowerment Temple?
Yes, sir. First time.
Okay, well, we're going to make sure that it won't be your last. And I just want you to kind of let the people in Baltimore know who have not heard you speak in person before, because we want everybody in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, even South Carolina area, still a day trip, New York, to come out. But can you give them, because you're a very studious brother, you study hard, you've been very well educated, you have an earned, you know, PhD. This is not something you have played with. Give them a glimpse of just a few nuggets that they should expect to get tomorrow, and the material, like your books and
Yes,
stuff like that.
sir. Well, definitely. We want everybody to come out tomorrow, Baltimore, first day of Black History Month 2023. Empowerment AME Temple, 4217 Primrose Avenue. Make sure y'all write that address down. 4217 PRIMROSE, 4217 Primrose Avenue, Baltimore tomorrow. What time are you going to open up the doors, Pastor?
We're gonna open up the doors at 5 o'clock, 5
All
p.m.
right. Doors are open up at 5 o'clock. Free event. You don't need no tickets. You don't need to register. Bring the children, bring the elders, bring the corner boys, bring the ex-offenders, bring the college students, bring the church people, the Muslim people, the Hebrew people. Bring everybody, but don't bring your snow bunny. You can leave her home. This is for the family. This is for the family. But tomorrow, obviously, I'm going to deal with the miseducation machine. Got to deal with the miseducation machine. And one of the things that, and of course, I'm going to deal with other things as well, politics, economics, family, spirituality, organization, self-hate. You know, the way I approach it, Pastor, is I try to hit on as many different subjects as I can, because I don't know who needs to hear what in that audience. You know, everybody's coming from a different set of circumstances. Somebody need to hear something about Black love. Somebody need to hear something to save their child. Somebody need to hear something inspirational, just keep them going throughout the rest of the year. Somebody else needs to hear something about politics. So I try to offer a buffet. Of course, the main course is always the miseducation machine and Pan-Africanism. That's always the main course. But we have a lot of other sides on the menu. And I normally just kind of let the ancestors speak through me, the Most High God tell me what, you know, should be spoken at that day. I just let them put it on my heart. But one of the big things that's going on lately, Pastor, is a lot of Black boys, and this troubles me because I've been preaching this for so long and Black parents still don't hear me. A lot of Black boys are being expelled from school. I think I got about 2, 3, 4, 5 messages from parents over the past couple of weeks about their sons making threats in school that they don't have the ability to carry out. But because they're Black and they're boys, they're being expelled for it. One young man, I got a text today from his parent. He went into the school. I think it was the parent or a family friend. And the teacher made him upset. So he said he was going to shoot the teacher. He's only a first or second grader. He ain't got no gun, can't carry the gun. But he told the teacher he going to shoot her because she made him upset. The mother said he's not even allowed to play with water guns. So he's not shooting nobody. But they're trying to expel him. They're trying to expel him. And I got to hold us accountable as Black parents, because our children, especially our boys, should know that you don't ever walk into a white institution and threaten anybody's life. And it's sad that a 5 or 6-year-old can be expelled for making a threat that they can't carry out. It's sad. But we know these schools don't like any of our children. And so they show no mercy. Black parents need to understand the school district has a policy of no mercy when it comes to black boys. They don't care if he's 3 years old. If he says he's going to shoot somebody, he's going to stab somebody, he's going to blow up something, he's getting expelled. 3, 4, and 5 years old, Pastor. It's the crisis. This is how they're kicking so many of our young boys out of school now. They don't even wait till 4th grade no more. They're doing it in primary school, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Oh my, and you touched on the term that is extremely troublesome to hear. Elementary children just got potty trained a couple of years ago.
So,
being expelled from school. So we want all the parents. If you have this brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, travels the country, is one of the most sought out consultants, especially if your child has an IEP. He has followed this tracking mechanism for decades now, and he sees how the education system has really miseducated our children. Can you tell us some of the books you're going to be bringing? I mean, they're already here.
Yes, sir. A Black Parent Advocate, my first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust. I'm going to be releasing the 2nd edition of that. Should already be done, but it's not. I'm running a little late. I will have Black Parent Advocate. And that's a very important text, Pastor, because that's the text. I thought I had one with me, but I don't. But that's the text that parents can use as a reference guide to address any issue that they're having with the school. So if the school wants to put your child on medication, I have a letter in that book. All you have to do is reproduce the letter, send it in. They want your child evaluated for special ed. You don't want to go that route. All you have to do is reproduce the letter that I provide you with in the book. You know, if the school is complaining about your child not saying the Pledge of Allegiance, all you have to do is reproduce the letter in the book. You want your child evaluated for speech and language problems. I have the letter in the book. Your child is in special ed, but they're not getting the help that they need. I have the letter in the book. So this book, Pastor, basically it takes the major issues that our children face and our parents face, and I provide a historical background for that problem, whether it's the reading disability, autism, behavior problems, poor special ed service, pledging the flag, white teacher racism, whatever the issue is. I provide some history and some legal context, and then I give them a sample letter that they can send to the school. And so this is a very user-friendly guide for Black parents. Every parent with school-aged children needs to have a copy of my book in their home. So that's the first half of the book. The second half of the book, Pastor, I teach parents how to read and understand some of the various documents that they will receive in the school. So how to understand the psychological evaluation report. I break it down section by section. How to understand the IEP. I break it down section by section. How to understand the pre-referral intervention program. I break it down section by section. How to understand the functional behavioral assessment. I break it down section by section. If you're homeschooling your children, I break down the major areas that you need to make sure you account for in your homeschooling program. And also there's a chapter on how to deal with disruptive behavior without medication, and another chapter on how to conduct yourself at inside the school at a meeting. Because what I also find, Pastor, is a lot of our parents don't know how to conduct themselves at the meeting. They go in there bringing up information that only going to get the kid in more trouble, get them in trouble, get them banned from the school. They don't take notes. They don't have nobody with them to witness the conversation. So I have a whole chapter on how you should conduct yourself as a parent in the school meeting. Very useful book, very practical. Whereas Psychoacademic Holocaust gives you the breakdown of how the system operates, Black Parent Advocate shows you how to fight back against that system.
That is very much so needed. That is very much so needed right now. And I also want people to know, you mentioned a term that some may not have heard before, some might have. When I tell people, you know, that I am a Pan-Africanist and that the AME Church really got its beginning as a Pan-African organization.
Yes.
We call ourselves still the African Methodist Episcopal Church because we believe in supporting and providing relief for all those of the African diaspora. But can you just in your own way, describe what you mean by the term Pan-Africanism.
By Pan-Africanism, if I was to sum it up in three major points, the first point would be that all African people in the world, whether they're light skinned or dark skinned, whether they're albino or blue, black, purple, whether they're in Haiti speaking French, or whether they're in Senegal speaking Wolof, or whether they're in South Africa speaking Zulu, whether they're in London, England speaking the Queen's English, whether they're in Brazil speaking Portuguese, whether they're Muslim or Christian or Hebrew or Seventh-day Adventist, we are all members of one family, one single human family. And we happen to be the original human family, the first of God's children to walk this earth, and that we have an obligation to identify with each other, to organize with each other, to build solidarity with one another, and to solve our problems alone as a private family under God. And so, Pan-Africanists, we believe that our racial membership in the African family is the most important group that we belong to. And so nothing is more important than that Africanity, because it's the only thing unapologetically chosen by God for us to belong to. So no matter how much you try to distance yourself from your blackness, your Africanity, your ancestry, it's impossible to do. It is permanent. God made us African. And let me give you number two. Number two, Pastor, would be self-determination. Self-determination is all problems faced by African people must be solved by African people alone, without any participation by non-African people. Any institution we need must be built by African people alone, without subsidy or participation by any other member of any other race. That includes the Black family, which is the most organic institution. So the Black family should be built by a Black man and a Black woman. You see, that's why we disagree with interracial marriage, although we do not have an issue with the white woman or any other woman. We respect all human beings. But for the safety, security, and survival of the Black family, the Black man needs to be with the Black woman. And we are unequivocal about that. You know, we're unapologetic in stating that we have an obligation to be with each other. And it's such a paradox, Pastor, because with all the hell we go through from white folks, from the police killings to the employment racism, to the neglect by the president, to the disproportionality of contracts and the cold shoulder we get from the Supreme Court when it comes time to protect our 14th Amendment rights. It's amazing what all the racism Black people experience on a daily basis, we still find time to have sex with white people. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I've never seen this. It's a phenomenon, Pastor. It's an amazing phenomenon. We're not in peacetime with white America. Black America is not in peacetime with white America. We are at war for our very survival. Every day, a Black person is being disadvantaged by racism. Many Black people. Our women are being beat up. Our kids are being expelled from school. We're being choked out by cops, ignored by the president, okay? Fed with a long-handed spoon by the Congressional Black Caucus. And yet and still, despite all the hell we catch at the hands of white people, we still manage to go bunny hopping, Pastor. I'm trying to understand how the Black man, with all the problems our community has, how we still got time to go snow bunny hopping. It is amazing. It is a marvel. It is one of the most perplexing phenomena of the modern time. That Black men, with the hell the Black community is catching, still got time to go snow bunny shopping. It is amazing.
Well, that's a word. That's a word. That's a word. Folks, if y'all want some more of this, you got to come out tomorrow. This brother is just getting started. He is touring the world. Before he's coming to us, he's been everywhere, and after he leaves us, he's going somewhere else. But if you want to see him in Baltimore, Maryland, you got to come tomorrow. And I'm honored, like, 'cause I follow you a lot, Doc, and I don't really see you getting a lot of engagements at churches. So I'm really honored that you're coming to Empowerment Temple.
Yes, sir.
I want to challenge my other brothers in the faith to invite this man, this brother who I think is spreading the truth, and that's the truth. God is truth. So if you want to be on the side of God, you gotta be on the side of truth. And this brother is speaking truth in love to our people, and it may be blunt, but it's still, he's taking time out of his life. This is not his 8 to 5, right? This is what he does for his people. His 8 to 5 is his books and what he's talking about with our black boys in our educational system. But in addition to that, he takes the time to educate our people, and he loves all those in the African diaspora. And that's one thing I rock with him on the most, because we all we got. And at the end of the day, we all we need. And so I'm hoping that you all can come. I want to challenge other churches to support, at least buy a book. If every congregation bought a book, oh my goodness, if every black church in America bought and because it's our boys who are being the most impacted by the public education system and the tracking and things of that sort. So if we bought a book for our congregation to just have us, I bought a couple of books for our congregation, on how much more knowledge would we have. And it's also written by a black author, who supports our community. So I want to challenge everybody. Those of you who come in tomorrow, it's a free event, but we're going to take up an offering with the proceeds, a portion going to the school for our good brother, for that he seeks to educate our young black men. Doc, I love you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bring your appetite to Thursday. We're gonna eat up after you speak.
Sir.
Shut the house down tomorrow. Get some rest, and I'll see you soon.
All right, Pastor. Be blessed.